why this interlocking bricks is unique is the fact that although all other interlocking bricks can interlock majorly in two directions, these interlocking bricks can interlock in four different directions. Front to front, front to back, back to back, and sideways. Now, that's what I have here. This is the brick itself, or what you're seeing here now. These are models of the brick, okay? Now, this is the brick here. This is the back face facing up. This facing up. Now, these are bats carved out of the main brick. And you can use direct stacking. This is direct stacking here. This is direct stacking. Direct stacking, you can use it, staggered stacking here. This is staggered stacking, okay? When you have the bricks on one course facing downwards, the next course, you have the front of the bricks on the back of the bricks. The course after that, you have the back on the front of the bricks, and so it creates staggered stacking this way. And you can also use the same thing to do double wall if double walling is important for you. This is double wall. They can interlock in the longitudinal direction in one course, and they can interlock in the transverse direction as you're moving in another direction. So you can continue. Combinations are numerous, and that's why it is an invention, because the combinations never end. And now, 6 of these bricks, can you bring that? Hold it carefully. Hold it carefully and put it here. Put it here, okay? Now, bring the brick. Direct stacking, 6 of these. 6 of these are equivalent of one 9-inch block. Okay, do direct stacking. No, put it in one direction. Okay. 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 Yeah. No. Put it back here. Okay. Turn it. Okay. Okay. Remove that. Okay. So you can see 6 of these bricks are equivalent of a 9-inch block. This 9-inch block, I'm told now, is 700 naira, right? You're all architects or builders. You know what I'm talking about. The 9-inch block now is about 700 naira, all right? Now, we'll be selling this at 50 naira. We'll be selling this at 50 naira. Now, so 6 of them times 50 will give you 300 naira. That's still less than the cost of the 9-inch. So if you need 3,000 of these to build a 3-bedroom house, you will need about 18,000 to build the same bedroom house, the same number of bedroom house. And that will give you 1.8 million, whereas that will give you 2.7 or something like that. So these are the advantages that you will get with downlock bricks. And the boys who are bringing stacks of the waste for us, we are paying them stipends. Maybe one bag, depending on the size of the bag. Big sack of waste, 200-300 naira. You give it to them. You're creating jobs, don't you? You are not creating jobs for them, and you're cleaning the environment of this plastic waste, which would otherwise not be put to any form of use at all. So these are the advantages of downlock brick, and we have started publishing. We have 3 publications lined up. This is based on the form and shape of the brick. The next one will be based on the kind of materials that we're using. And the last one will be based on compressive strength, water absorption test, and so on and so forth. Various kinds of tests to show you that we stand to benefit from this waste. When you're running around and you're seeing them, don't look down on those sacks of waste. You can find a way to pack them into your houses, or call me, or call any one of us on the team, that we have materials here that we're going to make use of for the production of Zanlock bricks. Now, the spin-off from the Zanlock bricks, courtyard tiles. Courtyard tiles. We are not very sure yet. I would throw them down a bit more carefully because we are still working on them. But these are tiles in hexagonal form. We have molds. Did you bring the molds? Okay. No, the molds. It doesn't matter. When you see it, you know it has a mold. Okay? It has a mold. So these are spinning off, and these are other kinds of products. So what we're saying is that the Zanlock bricks, the important aspect of Zanlock bricks is the form and the shape. That is what puts it above every other interlocking brick. Otherwise, there are interlocking bricks all over the place. People make use of interlocking bricks. I was not sure at the time I started. It was my then Deputy Dean, Professor Achiwenu, who drew my attention to the existence of hydroform. Now, if you look at hydroform interlocking brick, they can interlock mainly in only two directions. Only sideways and somehow maybe in transverse direction. I have looked at quite a number of others, like the one being shown there. They interlock in majorly two directions. But look at the kinds of combinations we've come up with. My little boy in secondary school comes back now, and I have not achieved half of the number of combinations with which this can take. Now, he sits in my study and carries these models and begins to combine them in different ways. And then he will invite me, Daddy, come and see. And I'll come over and see a strange thing completely. So, as far as Zanlock bricks is concerned, it is a unique invention with the assistance of my team. And I think that we need to embrace this in such a way that you can develop your own combinations. And I can tell you, if you use polystyrene, you can use polystyrene. So the mold is already there. The mold is there. You can bring in any form of materials and prepare them in any way you want and put them up with this form. And they can be used for partitions in banking halls and things like that. So it goes on and on and on and on. There is no limit as far as Zanlock bricks is concerned. So I want us to take advantage of the existence of our interlocking bricks and the value it portends for everybody, and the kind of job we will create, and the kind of environment we are going to clean up and assist government in waste management. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, we are here. Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, very good presentation and eye-opening presentation with the multiple facets that the blocks, are they blocks or bricks? That these are more of bricks, right? That it could adopt. But my question now is, how do you pass the service ducts? Yeah. Are we going back to surface?
we have some of the bricks designed this way. Some of the bricks are designed this at intervals. It doesn't have to be every brick. You understand? You combine them, you interlock them. The ones that don't have holes, you can interlock them. Okay? You can interlock them. And at intervals, you can introduce the ones that have holes and things like that. Another advantage of this is that two bricks can hold like that. So the question of the length or the size of the brick is not really very big. It's not very much of an issue because this is the only interlocking brick style that two of them can hold like this and create one. Four of them, for instance, can go through a span of about 600, all right? So you can have a small door or small windows and things like that. If you must have, if you're going to have rods, now look at this. Now, we have spaces like that. You can put maybe 10 mm or 8 mm rod here, and so it will span across some kind of space. Yes. So that is it. So the services go through, some of them have those holes through which services can go through. Thank you very much.
Do you have more questions?
Let me make an apology here. What you see here, TED Fund. This research was funded 2020 by TED Fund. Now, when I was about to make the change, but it didn't come out early enough. So, but they are still preparing the banners, which we will bring to HODs. Incidentally, I'm going to ask my colleague here if I can borrow it, and anytime I'm presenting this, to me, it makes more sense. The Architects Resourcery, and then I'm bringing stuff like this. This is a contribution by an architect into the building construction industry. So I'm going to take permission from the organizer of this colloquium that I will now begin to borrow resourcery and make use of it, all right? The terminology is quite fitting as far as architects are concerned, producing things like this. So now, as far as TED Fund is concerned, when you do something, when they sponsor you to do anything, the insignia must be there, and that's why it appears to be there. Now, yes, so that is why you are seeing TED Fund. But I have hand-built. I also have hand-built. Yes, so you can carry them home and take a look. And if issues come up, you want to assist us, you can make use of the hand-built and like that. So, thank you very much once more.
Good afternoon, everybody. I stand, Prof. Good afternoon, sir. My question is, you have virtually answered part of it, like the openings. If there are going to be tiles or bricks, and there is an opening, a long opening, like a long window or long door. Cannot hear? If there is a long opening, yes, it's fine. Yes.
Of one brick?
No. For opening, for a door or for a window?
No. What I think we can do for things like this is not to think too robustly about the sizes of the openings or anything like that. 600 will be okay. So if you need more, you can have 600 here, leave a gap of 450, and then another 600, leave a gap of 450, and do another one. So on one wall, look at what we have here. You can do something like this. I think this is 900. This is 900, all right? But if you can still do 600, all right? And as many as you like, live in gaps, live in spaces like that. So it doesn't really matter. For a door which has to have a certain size, maybe 750, 900, you can introduce maybe 8 rod and put about 8 or so of the bricks, and they will span the space. Yeah. So that's all.
Do we have more questions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof, for that presentation. My question has to do with forces. We have lateral forces, vertical forces, but looking at this interlocking, you know, we are very good in trying to make some display on our walls. Yeah. And most of the times we may hit the wall with a hammer and a nail, concrete nail, you use it to hit the... And looking, I believe it's called dry construction, because there's not any bonding in between. Yeah. So in the process of trying to hit a nail, will there not be a now pushing out?
I want to assure you that this brick is bulletproof. That's a brick. Throw this one up. It has set. That one has been there for close to 1 year. It has set. You can throw it up. So the problem is the interlock. Yeah, the problem is the interlock. If you are not sure, if you are still not very sure, you do a double wall. Look at the double wall here. You can hold it for them. If you are not very sure, although I know that it doesn't really matter, even if you use only one course, it doesn't really matter. But if you still want to feel more comfortable about it, you can use a double wall, all right? And let me tell you, if you can remove and continue with this, you create a column. You create a column. So you don't need any concrete. You don't need nothing. You can create a column with this. So just and leave maybe 3, 4, or 5 and take it all the way up, and you have a column strong enough. But of course, at the foundation level, you can do something else. You can do something else. It doesn't have to be these. The whole idea about interlocking bricks is reduction of time of construction work and cost. We believe that but it will get us somewhere. Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay. Prof, you're not done yet.
Good morning. Prof, I have a question actually. I don't know how you have looked at this invention of yours. The invention itself, it's coming with a lot of business opportunities. One of which is the mold itself. Have you considered reproducing these molds and making it available for people to buy? That's one question. The second question is the business itself also had a lot of other businesses as well. You are also into waste management. Have you considered perhaps not just restricting your supply chain through the Arrow Boys? Have you started thinking of really collaborating and looking at it as a more holistic business? The last question. Being plastic or plastic bonding mixed. Have you considered a situation where we can use press so that you can just create the mold will now be in series of chain? So you just pump, just the way they produce plastics. Is it possible? Have you considered it? So that mass production becomes much, much easier.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, if you have not, I think it's something I'm introducing.
Thank you very much.
The last but not the least, I was
That's
sharing
4
with,
questions.
yes, I was sharing with him, especially with the compressed earth bricks. What they do is they introduce angle iron. Angle iron.
Okay.
Angle iron.
Yeah.
So they introduce it at the where you just run the angle iron over the opening and you stack them once again. So you could start thinking of how to adjust the molds, since you've already been able to adjust the mold for introduction of services. You could also begin to think of that, so that you just tweak the mold such that a recess can be created where at the opening position, run an angle iron and stack them again, and you continue. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope I can remember all the questions, but I think the first one centered on the mold. So, am I correct? Now, remember that this research was funded. Now, we complained that what they gave us was not enough to take care of some of these things. Look at the groove. The groove. Our aspiration is that the groove should be much narrower. Right now, we are aspiring to get 5 mm. But we have grooves that are about 10 mm. Now, that's because this mold was made manually along the road. So it was research that started very little, and we are that what we have machines use these molds in such a way that when the bricks interlock, you hardly see any groove. All right. When we do that, then we can begin to talk about mass production of the molds, things like that. So we're still searching. It's not conclusive. I have to admit that it's not conclusive. The second question to do with, we have bats. Half bat, quarter bat, 3/4 bat. As you can see them here, yes. Those bats are meant to, if you have to turn a corner, all right, or if you need a flat surface, you make use of the bat. This is half bat, this is 3/4 bat, so that you can have this surface here. It will be flat, and whatever you want to do with it, you can go ahead and. Now these are the bats. They've been demonstrated there. This is 3/4 bat. Where, when you know where you need surfaces, that's what the kind of things you make use of. We have thought about everything. My team contributions, we thought about nearly everything. Our limitation was finance, but we are hoping that we can get more funding and we'll take care of some of these things. So, thank you very much. Okay.
Sorry, my question is, does it come in different colors? Because not all of us, can it receive render? Can it receive paint? Because this color is a bit dark. Does it come in different colors, or can we paint it?
Yeah, it is possible. The kind of mix determines the things that the kinds of materials you use. I can answer that. Okay. Yeah. So you can make use of if you want different kinds of colors. So the mix determines the color in which it will come. Right now, what was laterite? We sieved laterite, all right, to the grain we wanted. And we boiled the plastics and mixed 1 to, or was it 1 to 2? 1 to 1.5. We used 1 to 1.5. If you use 1 to 2 with a different kind of material, the other material may insist that it should be 1.3 or anything like that. But when you take them for composite strength, that's where you determine what kind of materials you should mix them or which ones you should not. It's a question of the types of material you're making use of. And the bottle cup, as you now they're looking dark. They're looking like okay.
Yeah.
Can you come down, please, so I can hear you?
Yeah, well done, sir. This is a very good invention. Well done with your team, sir. But she asked part of my question in terms of if you want to use different materials for wall finish, it's beyond just painting. Can it receive rendering, plastering, and also tiling? Because I can see the smooth surface of the bricks. So what is the guarantee of the bonding?
I didn't hear the question. What is plastering? Okay. We don't intend to use tires. The surface, our aspiration is that the surface should be smooth enough for you not to think about using it. Yeah. Or the bathroom, well, you can use tires. There's no problem. You can chisel it. You can chisel but I don't even think it is necessary because it admits of water. Once the grooves have been taken care of, I don't think you need to do anything about the surface. Once the grooves have been made narrow enough for the surface to be deemed to be completely flat, I don't think you need to do anything about it. Professor Adamu is a member of our team.
I just want to make a clarification. Actually, the concept is that this interlocking bricks is mainly for IDP camp. Yeah? Yes, low-cost housing, and the initial point is for IDP actually, but as the at least we say why not can apply these using low-cost construction. So actually, all those things are still research is still ongoing, but the initial concept is this is mainly for the IDP camp. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Prof, I really commend your efforts so far because I knew the time this research commenced. I have followed, the development, the time it was conceptualized.
You will remember at the
yes. So I want to say that it is actually research still ongoing, and as such, you agree with me that at the time it started, it was very difficult to even get the mold. And gradually, you were able to get to the level you are now. I only believe that if the research continues like this, there is hope that some of the issues that have been raised now can be addressed particularly issue that has to do with, if it's going to be transformed into use as low-cost housing, definitely the issue of other services like toilet facilities, kitchen facilities, we have to come in. And in that case, it must be such that can accommodate some of those services that have been talked about. But it is a very commendable effort, and I believe that a milestone has been achieved, and I believe that more will be achieved as the design, as the research continues. Well done, Prof.
Let's appreciate Prof, the grandfather of architecture. You can see that there's no age limit to knowledge, to learning. And some of the materials that are being used today, I'm sure being improved over time. Sure, the research is ongoing and there will be a lot of improvement. Prof, ma. Professor Ola Disama. Hello. Well done. Prof, ma.
So I'm in the middle of introducing an international speaker. Is he back on? No. So while I was bumped up, and let me use the advantage of that to introduce somebody that is very, very dear to me, a seasoned architect of repute, very humble, and she has been an architect for decades, certainly much before me from the famous ABU. Professor Uji was saying we should introduce him as grandfather, and I agree, because she came in and she said, see my father. And so I want to introduce to you the managing director of Kano Urban Design and Beautification Agency. It's kind of like their JMDB here. She's the MD, and none other than my sister and my friend, architect Amina Ahmed. Please, ma'am, come up. She's going to sit and make her presentation. She came in from Kano this morning. Yes. I'm not sure where I will put this. And to put this here. So they're back. So I'm back.
Thank you, ma. Please, she needs her laptop here.
afternoon, everyone. We are making a study. I will wish to stand on the existing protocol. And I'm so happy to be in Jos, only that I thought it would be very cold. I hope I'm not disappointed. Okay, because when we were young, we learned that it can drop to 9 degrees or even less. So I was like, anyway, thank you so much for having me. The study is on landscape heritage conservation of Dala Hill in Kano. Dala Hill is assumed, or even the origin of all Hausa people. If Kano is the origin of Hausa people, then every Hausa person from Kano will be coming from Dala Hill. My secondary school is just like 5 minutes walk from the famous Dala Hill. So it was called Dala Secondary School, or Government Girls Secondary School Dala. At that time, it did not have so much meaning. But when you just put Dala Hill on the internet, and you see a lot of things propping around Dala Hill, then you start to think. I don't know if it's showing. Yes, there is a slide, yes. So it is a landmark, like I said earlier. It's the origin of all the people of Kano. And it was strategically located, like you can see on the map, on the intersect of the Greenwich and the north and south lines of geographical lines. It is right in the center of Kano. If that red line around Ungugo, Kumbozo, and so on tells the 8 local governments that today we call municipal Kano, then Dala Hill is still at the center of Kano. So the city radiated from the hill. So that is number one about the hill. Then secondly, we wish to make the study so that we can preserve the hill itself, because the hill is greatly abused. It has been turned to dumping site and is occupied by mostly hooligans, even though people come from all over the world to go on to the hill. But as at today, this is the reason why we are making this research. We want to preserve the site. When UNESCO was making studies around Kano, alongside the city wall, Dala Hill was suggested, and so it was part of the Sustainable Development Goals, which was talking about preservation and provision of improvement in job, security, and tourism. So what is the aim? Like I mentioned earlier, we wish to preserve the hill because of its cultural and natural values. So what are the research questions? What is the current challenge? Like I mentioned earlier, it is no more interesting to go around Dala Hill because it's all surrounded with feces, open defecation, hooligans, and the like, even though it has a lot of history. Then how can we improve the value? That is, we want to use the value-based planning, that taking into cognizance the values of the people around the hill, and then to save costs, to keep the heritage alive. Then what are the socio-economic benefits of preserving the hill? Like I mentioned also earlier, it is believed with a lot of improvement, it could be a UNESCO site. So Dala Hill has a lot of historical significance. Anything that rises above like 100, 200, 100, 200, 300 meters above sea level is seen to call, it's referred to as Dala in Hausa land. Like we have Dala of grandnotes, and then we have studios that are like we have Dala FM stereo, and so on and so forth. So that word Dala means something that is rising 300, 400 above sea level. The hill itself is well over 500 meters above sea level. So like I said, it's the focus of all the Hausa people and the Hausa states. And then there was a time when it was an iron industry. All iron work around Hausa land was carried out around the hill. Then it has a cultural importance from its history. It was a spiritual site. That is around the 7th century, when people were not Muslims or Christians, or they were idol worshippers. There was a chief priest living on top of the hill, and his name was, it was a woman actually. Her name was Umburbura, and her husband was Barbushe. So they lived together, and then all the people came to them for deliverance, like it was the deity. They were the deities at that time. So that was the biggest cultural importance. And this is another reason why the hill is not gaining importance with the people of Kano, because at a time it was associated with idol worshipping. And of course there are socio-economic values. That is, if we can improve the tourism around the hill. So we used qualitative research, that is, we had field work, literature review of history books in archives. Then we had focal group discussions, and so on and so forth. We had also field observations around the site. So when you go to Dalai Hill now, what do you see? You see a hill that is greatly eroded. A lot of erosion around the hill. I don't know if it's showing. A lot of erosion, and then there are gullies where open sewers, water is seen, making it so unpalatable. This is what you see, a lot of weathering around the hill. The integrity of the hill is greatly compromised. So, and then there is a lot of improper waste disposal around the site. You can see around, like Prof mentioned, a lot of plastics and paper bags or leather bags. It's a place where, when I was in secondary school, I remember we used to visit regularly. And then you go on top of the hill, and it is always a very beautiful sight. You see the whole city around Kano. See, now you cannot even get to the steps of the mountain. It's covered with a lot of refuge, a lot of deterioration around the hill. There is no management, there is no office. There is Office History and Culture Bureau, and is manned by an architect. But the truth of the matter is there is no feeling or presence of government or any NGO around the hill. So most of the barricades around the steps that were created, about 100 steps to take one to the top of the hill, have been in total disarray. So we